Brian Holcomb was set to deliver Sunday's sermon at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, where he served as an associate pastor. In attendance that morning were many members of his family, including his wife, Carla, his sons John and Mark's toddler daughter, Noah, as well as Brian's daughter-in-law, Crystal, and her 5 children. And then a gunman, dressed all in black and armed with an assault rifle, opened fire on the worshippers, killing at least 26 people, including 8 members of the Holcomb family: Brian, Crystal, Carla, Mark, Noah, and 3 of Crystal's kids, Greg, Emily, and Megan. Crystal was pregnant at the time of her death, according to Holcomb family patriarch Joe Holcomb, Brian's father. The 8 deaths were also confirmed by multiple online fundraisers set up to support the surviving relatives. "I'm dumbfounded," Brian's son Scott Holcomb told the New York Times on Sunday after learning of his parents' deaths. "This is unimaginable. My father was a good man and he loved to preach. He had a good heart." Scott's sister Sarah Slavin told the paper of their parents, "They weren't afraid of death. They had a strong faith, so there's comfort in that. I feel like my parents, especially my mom, weren't scared." Speaking to people from nearby Floresville, Texas, family patriarch Joe Holcomb echoed Slavin's sentiment. Of Brian, he says, "He's a Christian, so we know he's in heaven. It's not as hard on us because we know we'll be together again, and it will be for a long time this time." Want to keep up with the latest crime coverage? Click here to get breaking crime news, ongoing trial coverage, and details of intriguing unsolved cases in the True Crime newsletter. Some of the Holcomb family members are pictured here along with others. GoFundMe. Some of the Holcomb family GoFundMe. Joe, an 86-year-old retired educator, provided brief background for some of his slain relatives, describing Brian and Carla as high school sweethearts and spouses of approximately 40 years. Joe says Brian had a canvas shop and worked in a volunteer associate pastor role at First Baptist. Others in the family also worked in the church as well as were members there. Crystal's husband, John, was a Sunday school teacher and webmaster there, according to a fundraiser set up by friend L. David Givler. Carla, Brian's wife, worked as the assistant church secretary and also taught Sunday school. "She was wonderful. She ran around all day, most every day, helping people that needed help," Joe says. "If we needed to go somewhere, she'd take us. She was just a very helpful, very serving person." Joe says his grandson Mark, who went by Danny, lived with him on the family farm in Floresville, though he had his own home there. Mark could make anything out of nothing, Joe says, describing him as a self-made engineer. Mark's daughter Noah was his first child, Joe says. She was 17 months old. People's Special Edition True Crime Stories: 35 Real Cases That Inspired the Show Law Order is on sale now. Some of the Holcomb family GoFundMe. His wife, Jennifer, was also at the church during the shooting but survived, as did Crystal's husband, John, and 2 of her children. Theirs was a blended family, according to Joe and accounts of family friends. Crystal's children were from her first marriage and she married again, to John, after her husband Peter's death in 2011. "John is an incredibly good guy," Givler, his friend, wrote online. "He married Crystal, a widow with 5 children, took them as his own. Now, as he and Crystal were preparing to have their first together, this horrific murder took his wife and unborn child." Addressing how John is coping, Joe said he's not well but he's in good health. "Crystal was wonderful," he says. "She was a beautiful, devoted mother, and she homeschooled all of her children," Joe says. Wrote Christopher Foster, in a fundraiser set up on behalf of Brian's daughter Sarah Slavin. "This is one of the most truly loving and kind-hearted families in our nation.